Star Detective PreCure finally unveiled all sorts of great information in preparation for the season's premiere on February 1st. However, a question remains. See, this is a series about time travel. Anna Akechi gets sent back in time to the year 1999, which begs the question, why 1999? Hi, I'm Ayumi, #1 PreCure fan in the world. I've also watched over 300 Magical Girl series, and I have a few hunches about this. So first I want to talk about the given names of our main two characters. See, surname-wise, it's very easy to understand where these names are coming from. It's basically the same as if we had characters named Holmes and Watson as protagonists in Japanese. They are just an Edogawa Rampo reference. It makes perfect sense. However, their given names are very interesting. See, this setting is 1999, and Anna was not really a common name at all back then. It is a name that took on a huge wave of popularity, particularly in the 2000s, and so finally started hitting the top 100 names by 2006, and is a name that remains as part of like the top 50 over the course of the past 2 decades. So it's a very modern name, but not a name you would see in 1999. Meanwhile, Mikuru is a name that basically exclusively uses the kanji for future, which is mirai, but is not a really common spelling or reading of that particular name. So it's a rare version of a common-ish name, and by common I mean that in 1999, mirai, or this kanji, was the #1 kanji choice for girls' names. Of course, that's a baby name list, and we're talking about a teenager here, but it's fine, we don't have to worry about it. But in any case, I think it's really interesting. Spoiler warning before we continue this video, we are going to talk about fresh PreCure, delicious party PreCure, a little bit of witchy PreCure, I guess, probably. Also, we're going to talk about Phantom Thief Jean, Ojamajo Doremi, and Madoka Magica. So, next part that's really obvious is that PreCure did not exist in 1999, but of course Toei Animation was doing Magical Girls. In particular, they were doing Ojamajo Doremi, and they were also doing Phantom Thief John. Both of these series premiered in 1999. So let's talk about Doremi first. What does Doremi have to do with this concept? Well, pretty simply, if you've watched Doremi, you know there are a handful of episodes, like maybe 1 or 2 every season, with time travel. It's a really rare treat that the girls got to do this, but it did happen. So basically, in these episodes, we would see them go back into the past, but they would usually stay in their particular city. But in particular, what I think is really, really interesting is that the final episode of Doremi, in Doremi Naisho, we actually feature a brand new character, because we meet Fami, who is actually Doremi's granddaughter from the future, who has come to visit Doremi, same as Doremi used to do back in the day. So now let's talk about Jean. I'm dealing with understanding the proportions that's right for this video. Will work with me here. So Phantom Thief Jean, again, also premiered in 1999. This is the only time that we have a Phantom Thief Magical Girl series from Toei before this year. This is huge. So with that in mind, that also makes sense. Also, she's blonde. The other thing that made me have some pause as I was putting things together, I want to talk about Pochitan, the fairy. So Pochitan, of course, super, super cute. Apparently can open his head as a bag. That's awesome, I guess. But more importantly, Pochitan is the one who has the power of time travel and has promised to bring Anna back to 2027 once they collect all the truth jewels. I will defend this bear with my life. However, we do have to consider the fact, and a lot of people are talking about the fact that Pochitan is voiced by the same voice actor as Kyubey from Madoka Magica. Why is this important? Well, Kyubey is Kyubey, right? The Kyubey is the most famous case of a mascot who betrays the magical girl. However, the first time a very, very cute mascot betrayed the magical girl was Phantom Thief Jean over there. I say adorable mascot on purpose because it's not the first betrayal ever, but that's neither here nor there. So again, connections. Thinking about PreCure in this case, we also have the case We had a previous Phantom Thief, of course, in Gentilu, who turned into a magical girl, but with Cure Arcana Shadow, she is a Cure and she's also a Phantom Thief. So it's a very exciting difference, and she even has her own fairy, just like Maji Majo Pures. But getting back to Pochitan, you might be thinking, but Pochitan is baby, like literally. Pochitan becomes more baby-like if they use too much of their powers. Okay, well, we've also had another series with a villain who turned into a cure, who that is exactly 10 years after 1999, and is the very first time a villain turned into a cure, and that fairy very much also became not baby. I don't want to say I'm making predictions here, but that is the connection I have drawn, so just hear me out. All this to say, I am very, very excited about Star Detective PreCure. I can't wait to see more about the time shenanigans, as of course I am a 90s kid. I am going to be enjoying a lot of the weirdness that's going to happen from all this timey-wimey business. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Have you made any other connections? Do you have any predictions? I've certainly been doing a lot of pondering. I was very distracted at work today. Please do not tell my boss. If you want to follow me for more PreCure videos, feel free to do so. That's the best way to support me for absolutely free. If you happen to have some change, you can also give me a donation or a commission over on my Ko-fi page. Commissions are always open and I could use the money. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next video. We're going to have another Mahou Shoujo Manga Monday tomorrow, and we'll see what the next video is about. We'll figure it out in due time. Alrighty, bye!